Welcome back into Turning Point tonight. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for the one and only Jobob. Jobob is out today, and I told him to take as much time as he needs. He just welcomed a wonderful, beautiful, perfect baby boy into the world alongside his wife, and we congratulate them. He's exactly where he needs to be. So God bless him. I saw a picture, and the kid's perfect. I'm not gonna lie to you. By the grace of God, he got his mother's looks and not his father's. So congratulations to Joe Bob and Crystal. So I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Kidding. Joe Bob's not a bad looking guy. All right, President Trump at the UN. Let's get back to business. President Trump at the UN, he was calling them out on all of their bad ideas, up to and including the Green New Scam. Play the cut for me, Glenn.
They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, good for you, President Trump. Thank you for telling the truth. That's what we need. That's what we need from our world leaders. These bad ideas have been infecting the minds of people and making them insane. And you see what's happening in Europe, but you can also see what's happening in California, which is just basically Europe diet. Diet Europe, diet Europe. In California, you know, they'll tell you we have to have electric cars, but you also can't plug them in after 5 o'clock at night. Like, what are we doing? Your grid can't handle it, but we don't want you to have a gas guzzling car. It's insane. This is what we get from the left. And these ideas have infected Europe just full stop. They're infecting here too. And the crazy thing about this, and it's not a stretch to think that this kind of ideology is causing violence. If you think that me driving a truck is an existential threat to you and your family, what do you think the next natural step is to dealing with that existential threat? Well, it's violence, unfortunately. And maybe it's that a lot of times it's just because they call us Nazis and fascists and dictators, and they say that ICE is disappearing people in the street. But we watch this rhetoric and we see the violence as a result. I mean, just this morning in Dallas, now a heartbreaking scene unfolded where a radical leftist lunatic found his way up to a roof and opened fire on an ICE detention vehicle. Now, he didn't actually further the mission at all. He didn't hurt any ICE agents by the grace of God, but unfortunately, he took out 2 illegal aliens, injuring a third before turning the gun on himself. Now, when this broke on my radio show in the morning, I said, maybe I'm jaded, but my mind goes to left-wing violence. And maybe it was because of the recent events and weeks. And I said, I'm just speculating. But that's where my mind goes. Sure enough, it took about an hour and a half, and we were proven right. Jack Posobiec in Human Events Daily, they were one of the first ones to report that, nope, it was left-wing violence. This was someone infected with the woke mind virus. And we can't necessarily say that he was Antifa-related yet, but you can honestly make the argument that that could be the case, because we saw what happened in Prairieland, Texas, when an Antifa mob lured ICE agents into an ambush and shot them. So the reality is that this very well could be Antifa. We got to wait till more information is available, and a lack of information only leads to speculation. I understand that. And at times I find myself speculating too. But it's hard not to go there. Seeing what we've seen. I mean, it hasn't been 2 weeks since they shot Charlie because Charlie debated their ideas, their poor ideas. And when they couldn't win in the debate, they decided to take out Charlie. It's heartbreaking. And they want us to recoil in fear, and they don't want us to talk about this stuff, but we have to keep going anyway. We have to be more bold and more loud, proclaiming the truth. So that's what we're going to do here on Turning Point tonight. And I'm blessed to be able to fill in Joe Bob's shoes this evening to do just that. In Sacramento, the DA recently announced that the shooting that we saw on the ABC affiliate there was political. Weird. Maybe saying that Donald Trump is a fascist, pulling Jimmy Kimmel off air, led directly to that shooting. Yep, that's exactly what happened. And we all thought the same thing in the first place. But again, we didn't have the information. We were just speculating. But it seems like every time we're speculating about this stuff, we're just ahead of the curve. And it's sad. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. This country is dealing with a rise of radical left-wing domestic terrorism. And it's sad. Stephen Miller was talking about it yesterday on Fox News. Cut 17.
But as you mentioned, this country is dealing with a rising threat of radical left-wing terrorism. There were two very nearly successful attempts on President Trump's life. A bullet hit President Trump in the head. It was only centimeters away from taking his life. This second attack that we're talking about today, the president was moments away from walking directly into that line of fire. Of course, the healthcare CEO was brutally gunned down by another self-described so-called anti-fascist that was then celebrated by other self-described anti-fascists, who of course are really communist revolutionaries. And the heartbreaking assassination of our dear friend Charlie Kirk while speaking at a college campus, billions of dollars in property damage by Antifa and other far-left rioters, organized criminal campaigns of doxing and violent intimidation, 1,000% increase in violent attacks on law enforcement. These are not isolated incidents, Will. It is part of an organized campaign of domestic terrorism.
Stephen Miller is absolutely right. And we have to get tough on this stuff. And again, by the grace of God, we got 47 in office, and he declared Antifa a domestic terror organization. It's about time. It's about time. When we get back, we'll look at the reaction from leftist leaders when it comes to this left-wing violence. Kamala Harris weighed in. Hillary Clinton weighed in. What do you think they said? We'll play you the clips when we get back. This is Turning Point tonight on Real America's Voice.